Hey y'all, this is Aemok,
Madam Hexe,
and Kaitlyn Kayce,
and this is Trouble Comes in Threes. This podcast talks about scandalous topics like polyamory, kink, leather, and sexual health. If you're under 18, please visit scarletteen.com. And if you're over 18, let's get knotty. So, you said it a minute ago, but it was so cute. Clap your hands.
Again.
What are we doing tonight?
Leathercare.
And for those of you who don't speak German yet,
Keep listening, you might.
Right.
that means Leathercare.
Leathercare, yes.
So, I identify as boot black.
I also identify as the boot black.
I do not, technically. We'll get to that distinction later.
This is not a boot black 101 discussion. It's not a course, we're talking.
Yeah.
Chat.
Yes. This is more just kind of our personal histories with Leathercare and things like that.
Taking care of the material itself.
Yeah.
In the leather community, the items that we wear, for some of us, have a lot of significance. For others, it just fucking looks hot.
Right.
All of these things are valid.
Both of these are great reasons.
Right. It's a little bit common, a little bit
I'm
common.
definitely someone that has a leather fetish. Like, I have a fascination with the inanimate object, which is the definition of fetish. I love the smell. I love the texture. Like, one of
the
my
way
favorite
it
things,
feels.
like to take like a leather strap or flogger and like pull it over somebody's
my
face.
face.
And it's just like, I'm like, breathe deep.
Yes.
Because that is what your
It's
God
like
smell
instant
like.
orgasm. Middle of a scene.
But also in leather with a capital L, the process of taking care of it, and we'll get into all that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
right. So
So,
where should we start?
maybe with types of leather?
Yeah, let's talk about the material itself.
So, what do you think are the two most commonly seen types of leather?
Like what animals it comes from, or just
Animal processing style.
Yeah. Like,
I would say suede is a big one.
this is a style. This is like the baby leather. This is the process. I would say like cow or bull hide.
Yeah.
I think is a big one. And here I see a lot of kangaroo, but I don't think it would be like number one.
See, I
Number
see a
two.
lot of alligator.
That's a Florida thing.
Yeah,
that's because
that's
it's basically
fair.
a swamp.
Yeah,
But I'm sure, like here, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi.
I'm sure in Texas like rattlesnake.
Right.
Is that leather? I guess so. Because I think of them with like scales, but underneath the scales is flesh,
there's
right?
skin, yeah.
Yeah, no, you
Like a
yeah.
fish, yeah, I guess.
So some points of context for
Buffalo. That's what I was gonna say.
Buffalo's really good.
There it is. Yeah.
So for like a cow hide, full size, full grown cow, there's two different commonly used tanning processes. Now this is not like Jersey Shore tanning. This is leather tanning.
No,
It's
they
much
just
older.
They take it to Easy Tan for that $19.99 a month, and they just
No. So veg tan is what you're going to see on things that are built for rougher longevity.
Like our biker boots.
Biker boots, a lot of times, they tend to be, they get a patina, which I love veg tan because as you use it and play with it, it will actually get little scuffs and marks, and the leather will age and show its travels. That is the tanning process for that. What is actually named after tanning is the tannins that are found in specific types of wood bark that's used, like tree bark. That's what's used to like cure and tan the hides.
interesting.
Right? Those are really good for things that are you want to be able to build up a shine on as well. So like you'll see it on like bags, boots, chaps.
Yeah.
Things that are going to take a rougher beating generally are veg tanned.
Gotcha.
So the cool thing about that is that you can build up a polish onto them, which you can't always do with some of the other ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other one that is also used a ton in motorcycle boots and riding gear is oil tan. It's also really common for like bags and jackets and purses and things like that.
Aren't a lot of like dress shoes oil tanned as well?
Yep, is oil tanned. They're very soft, very supple. They kind of have like a natural shininess to them. And they're not tanned with oil.
Okay.
Oh,
Which makes
misleading.
almost no sense because
Misleading, isn't it?
Right? Oil tanned. They're either called oil tan or chrome tanned because they're tanned with a a soilable chromium salt.
Okay.
That's the one that causes all the river damage and shit, like in third world countries.
Does.
That's the problem. That's why they're like, shut down the tannery. I was like, oh, or you could just not use that process.
Or dispose of your
Things
things
in a better
properly
way.
and not just dump them into waterways.
Right. Let's think about where this stuff's actually done. It's not done in Metropolis, USA.
They're also not going to do something less environmentally damaging because that's probably more expensive.
Yeah.
So, the process of these chromium salts that they have on the leather actually makes it water resistant, oil resistant, sweat resistant. So you'll find it a lot of times in like riding gear, things like that. But you can't polish them. You can give them a like conditioning with like a leather food or a leather oil.
It'll like bring it back to what it started as, but you can't like take it past there.
You're never going to get a high shine on an oil tan, and dear God, please don't ever try.
Oh, my first time I was at FetCon, and I walked by someone who was cleaning leathers, and I was like, hey, that was something that someone told me I should look into because it's a really useful service and I'm interested in it.
Right.
Do you think I could sit with you and watch you? And the individual was like, yes, you can. Actually, my buddy over there has a pair of shoes he wants me to do, so I'll give them to you. And so they gave me
we'll do it together kind of
teaching. But
okay.
they gave me a pair of oil tan, whereas they had veg tan, which they could high shine, and they were trying to teach me how to high shine on the oil tan. And then 2 hours later go, oh, by the way, just know you won't get an actual shine on those. I just wanted you to learn the process.
You can also ruin them.
So,
well then.
So, lesson learned.
Yes. I was so frustrated. I was like, they're not looking any better than when I first started.
Am I doing it wrong? No, it's them, not you.
You are doing it wrong, but it's because they told you wrong.
Right.
No judgment there. Where's my champagne? Suede. You mentioned suede.
Yeah, mainly because that's like the one type that I am so like beyond myself. Like I love know how to like care for it well. And by the time I was like, oh, I know people who can teach me how to do this. My favorite pair of suede shoes were just shit. Like completely toast. I'm like, oh, love you, girl.
She fixed baby girl's suede shoes when she dropped that chow mein all over.
Oh no, when her box broke.
Yeah.
I love suede, both personally and working on it, because suede, unlike a lot of the different types of leather I'm going to run through, and then our own care, suede is very delicate.
I call it baby cow. I don't think it really is baby cow, but I call it baby cow.
It's not. It's like the
middle layer, is it?
Yeah.
It's not the top grain layer.
It's not the top grain. But it's very soft. And if you try to treat it like you did a veg tan or oil tan, you will end up with a weirdly shiny, matted mess.
It's fuzzy. If someone out there has never experienced suede before, it's fuzzy. It's lightly, delicately like a peach, fuzzy.
Yeah, always a lot like peach skin.
It is.
I think it's a lot like velvet.
Yeah. Little hairs maybe a little longer, but velvet, peaches,
like oil tan is kind of like the side of an apple.
Yeah, very smooth.
Like an apple skin, and then suede is like
fluffy.
Yeah. Like a kiwi.
Yeah, like a kiwi.
Oh, I do like kiwis.
Because they have the little hairs. Yeah. So those are very interesting because even though they are cow, you have to treat them completely different.
Right.
So there's special brushes, we'll get into that later. Yeah. But that is also generally cow. Other skins, like calf skin, which is baby cow, goat, snake skin, alligator, a lot of those can be cleaned and cared for in the same way, even though they aren't full-grown adult cow.
Right. I mean, to some extent, skin is going to be skin.
Skin.
Yeah.
When you're conditioning, make sure, because like snake skin conditioner has a different chemical compound than another kind of conditioner, so make sure that whatever conditioners you're using is good for those types.
And if you're investing in a specialty hide,
get the
specialty cleaner, you cheap bastard.
Right? And then the last one that's kind of special, but we do see a ton here, is kangaroo. Now, doing a little bit, because I've only worked with it a handful of times, my guys don't have anything kangaroo, which is generally something I have when I'm working with other people, is it's very similar in what you do, except for you can't use soap.
Okay.
So when you clean it, you just use warm water to get everything out of it. Because the soap can actually damage the leather itself.
Interesting.
And then after that, you just use like a mink oil or leather food, something like that, to give it a little bit of protection after it's completely dry.
Completely dry, okay.
So.
What you got, Kaitlyn?
So it just popped in my brain. I was like, how would you like, if you don't know what to look for with kangaroo leather, how would you differentiate kangaroo leather from like other leather if the person that's bringing it doesn't tell you?
Ask.
Yeah.
But if they don't know?
If they don't know, so...
Like, is that ever a thing, or do people buy it specific? Like,
I feel like most people know. Most people in our community are gonna know what their shit's made of.
That's fair.
Because it's kind of a talking point. Like,
this
is my kangaroo jacket or my kangaroo.
Yeah.
You know, or
I see a lot of kangaroo bull whips.
Yeah, a lot of whips.
They're very popular. For like whip making.
They snap pretty well. But you know, most people, because it's a selling point. This one's buffalo hide. This one's cow hide. This one's venison. This is so most people in our community will know.
Okay.
Yeah. Every time that I run into it, the people have told me with pride that this is kangaroo, and I'm like, thank you for knowing what leather you have.
Thank you. Right? Because you're like, I don't want to damage.
I do not want to destroy it. The only thing I can tell is if I see like cowhide differences between top grain, the full hide, and composite.
Yeah.
Composite leather, which is those cheap couches that pick off. It's technically quote genuine leather. It's just like the leather scraps mixed with some cellulose. So don't do those.
That's the same with like real. If it says real leather belt, a lot of times it's the composite. Which is it's just like the shavings off the floor that they stick in a vat, slurry it up, and
it's great. It's a little bit more
super
affordable.
Cheap option, but know that it is not gonna last, and I don't really think you have to care for it that easily because it's gonna be gone in a year anyway. So I don't even bother, to be honest. Like definitely.
So that's those are the most common types that we see out in the wild. What about you guys? Have you seen, others than those, have you seen any really cool types?
Alligator is the one I see a lot.
Is that Florida girl in you, is it?
Apparently, that Florida, Kentucky girl in me. I see so much alligator.
I've seen alligator.
Well, so the third pair of boots I ever did that weren't mine or my partner's were alligator.
Yeah, so generally you see it in like shoes, wallets, belts.
Yeah. I'm thinking like the snakeskin wallets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that but
alligator?
But okay, so I have seen boots like that. I didn't know if they treated it any different. No, it's just I'm not a fan of the look, honestly.
I don't like the rib texture, but because I am quote unquote a redneck, I see a lot of alligator.
I was like, I don't think there's any quote unquote. I'm pretty sure you're just adorably redneck.
Oh yeah, but it's very common because that's like the talking point for like Western style boots as opposed to like military or like combat style boots.
I didn't think about cowboy
Western because I came up in the horse world, so I did a lot of Leathercare.
I mean, I did
before
too,
I was even this
like hunter seats. It was like English style.
Yeah,
I did. It was not snakes.
I wrote
yippee-ki-yay kind of shit.
I wrote English. I wrote English, but it was a barn that also did Western, and then at the horse rescue, and then just my fucking family.
Sure, that's fair.
So I've seen a lot of alligator boots because it's kind of like that more top notch. Like if you really want to show up when you go line dancing, wear the fucking alligator cowboy boots.
Alligator.
Oh, like the alligator boots.
I
and then
can't
like
knock
the
it.
black.
It's a cultural experience. I can't knock it. It's a cultural experience, but I'm just like.
It's also, I mean, so strangely enough, Florida is actually a very popular cow state.
There's cows.
Nobody thinks about it, but they're all over.
Mm-hmm. There's loads of cows.
But, want to know what's even more prevalent in Florida? Gators.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So, you can get it really easily in this area, and it's kind of like,
I've eaten it, but I haven't worn it.
It tastes so good too.
It's almost like a class status for rednecks.
Yeah.
See, I missed
if you want to be a classy redneck.
If you see
redneck with money, is that it?
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
If you see people at an event and they have super top notch, really I put it as the equivalent
I'm
of
start looking now. I want to see it.
I put it as the equivalent of seeing someone with really nice high shine boots. If you see a redneck with alligator boots, you're like, oh, okay.
They will be mirror finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
At all
I'll keep
times.
an eye out moving forward now.
It's
If we're out and you see one, be like, that's it.
I will.
Yeah.
you can generally tell the alligator skin because
I expect
red.
the puppy to do pointer mode and just like that one.
but I'm not a pointer. I might hurt the
Pointy nose, you can point
but I can hurt it.
She'll
together.
hurt you, and I'll just like bat you and be like, yuck.
Not helpful,
Yeah.
but yes.
They generally have like the
squares.
It's a square design and they're bigger.
And
Like-
they're chunky, so they like rivet down. Oh, I hated getting the soap out of those because I was like, I don't
there's,
want to
like,
leave soap there because there's so
Yeah.
many ridges. I mean, like they're pretty and they feel cool, but like so like that's one of the more common ones that I see that I can like notice right off the bat.
I'm nothing to contribute, I'm sorry.
When did you first start learning to take care of your leather?
Well, as a child, because like in Germany you often buy like leather shoes or bags and you know you buy it and it's yours forever. So like my grandmother
Very
always,
not American.
No, it's not. Like my grandmother, you know, had leather shoes and you know she had like her brushes and you know she'd brush her shoes and she'd clean them and she'd condition them. So like in a basic sense, like there was just like a task we did maybe once a month. To learn that, and then you know like there was a leather chair, you had to condition it and do all the things and that kind of thing. So young, as far as like leather with a capital L, let's say maybe what am I now? 300 years old? Not
even.
Probably 10 years ago. So when I was 19 is when I started making that transitional period in where I was on the slash. So just before that, I would say we started learning care and maintenance of these things. Of your leather, because your leather is your hide, it's your skin, it is you, it's an extension of you, it is an outward representation of the radicalism within. I know, very poetic. But that's probably when, and it was always our responsibility for our own leathers. Like as a service before an event, you could shine who you were in service to. Like when I was on that side, you could shine your Suriname stuff just before, like polish them up. But the idea is like they're ready to go by the time they get there. You're just fine tuning or if a little rock or a bit of dirt or something because you want them to look perfect when they walk in, and then you quickly dress yourself to make sure you also look perfect so they don't look bad after you fix them up. But yeah, it was always that. It was your responsibility to do yours, even if you were a master or a madam or whatever side of the slash you're on. It was a point of pride to take care of your own stuff. You know, it's not that you weren't allowed to have your submissive do it for you, but it was more of a.
You should also know because it's yours.
It was kind of like, well, that's kind of your responsibility. It was not like frowned upon if someone was like, oh, my submissive did my boots or something like that, because it could be a learning thing, or it could be that's how you run your life, but. Sometimes they'd be a little bit like, oh, you're too good to do your own boots a little. I don't know how it is here, but that's kind of how it was there.
Yeah. For me, I got into Leathercare probably around 4th or 5th grade because I rode horses.
Right.
And so I was taking care of tack, and my riding boots were real leather. My papa invested in those for me, and they were the best boots I ever had. I was so sad when I fell off a horse and I got stomped on and the sole came completely off. But my foot didn't break, so that was a plus.
It's good. Thank you for saving my foot.
Right. But as far as leather with a capital L, it's really a community on lifestyle that I only found. Oh gosh, now it's been almost like 3 years. I can't even say it's only a year ago now. Like it's almost been 3 years
We're
now.
getting old, guys.
I am old. Welcome to my party.
I'm just growing up.
I'm growing up.
You'll become an adult someday.
Right.
One
When
day.
I grow up, I want to be you guys.
I mean, yes, because you guys are awesome. But yeah, and so like that was when it kind of took a transitional thing, and that's when I found more like my love of leather as opposed to it being a task that needed to be done to take care of my items. Because I bought all my writing stuff myself, like either through like chores or stuff. So like I took pride in my tack for when I was riding horses. But there's something different about leather in the sense of the leather community for me, because I found kind of like that niche where I'm like, oh, I actually really like that, like the smell, the touch, the feel, but I also like the care and energy that go into it.
Right.
And so that's where like I kind of to make that transition.
I think the leather fetish part started for me when I was little, and it's Granny's fault, bless her. I had a suede teddy bear as a baby.
I love it!
So I grew up smelling leather, and so it became this like experience that I was always around. And again, I was around horses growing up, which there's a farm, and then riding formally and all that, and it just kind of progressed in its nature of how I associated with leather, but
Yeah.
I think I had a little suede teddy bear and he had a little red bow tie.
So cute. I love it.
I love the fact that pretty much all of our experiences started
Super young.
as children with animals. Like, had a lot of that.
Way.
Yeah, not in a creepy way, but like,
Yeah.
I started handling dogs competitively when I was 4. There were no junior levels at the time, so I was a 4-year-old competing against adults. And dog shows, at least in the South,
It's really interesting that we allow something like that.
Oh, they do it for cow shows too.
Yeah.
If they don't have like
Florida.
No,
if they don't
like
have
that's
a junior
it's a
league,
national
like,
organization.
Yeah.
That's insane. Anyway, keep going.
So, it's okay. I kicked a lot of adults' asses, and I got
that
to
doesn't
watch.
speak
Me
well for
too,
dog
high
breeders
five.
in America, does it?
I was significantly more dedicated to my training, and they were like, I definitely watched people who got upset because not only did a girl, but a girl who is that old,
Toddler, I mean,
like 5.
call it what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I had my first professional adult title by the time I was 5 years old. I had all of the adult, like, for what I did, almost all of them before they put in the junior league, and I was too young to join the junior side of it, so I had to wait until I was older to go back and get the junior titles.
Interesting.
But a lot of them happened to coincide with 4-H or horse shows, and so like I spent a lot of time like kind of in both worlds, because like that side of the fairgrounds was full of horses and cows, and this side of the fairgrounds was full of dogs, and sometimes the sheeps were in the middle and the dogs were hurting the sheeps that were also being shown.
Right.
Because I did like a bunch of different things, but so there was always this love of, you know, I always thought the tack was so beautiful, and
I love show halters for
Our
horses
dog-
and for cows.
our dogs
And
would
for
all
people.
have like
And for people. I haven't gotten a show halter yet for people.
in the works. But so I always loved that. And then my mom and I, when we were little, like, we would care for just shoes and stuff like that. My grandpa was in the military, so his shoes are always like clean and cared for. My mom and I would also clean and condition her baseball mitts.
Okay.
So like we would go throw the ball around.
All right.
Because my mom is a giant tomboy, and I
I
love
didn't know
it.
she was sporty like that. That's cool.
Oh my god, she's so sporty.
Well, I want to know more
That's
later.
neat.
Let me know
Yeah.
more.
Which is great because she's.
baseball mitt.
I have several.
I held a baseball mitt.
But so this was like something we did when I was little,
Right.
was, you know, cleaning that up or
Right.
prepping all of the gear to go to the shows. And then as an adult, like, I always thought leather was super, super hot.
Yeah.
So hot. But I started getting and taking care of my leather about 11 years ago. When I got my first boots for riding.
I got you.
Because, and I will say the first year that I had them, I did not treat them well because I had no clue.
A lot of people don't know.
I had no idea.
You don't know.
But it makes so much sense. Like, it's leather.
It's
skin.
You lotion yourself. Lotion your
Put
skin,
the
my
lotion
friend.
on the skin.
Yeah, hydrate yourself, friends.
I've just been peeling off the burn from last week.
That's a burn. That's different. Anyway, so take care of your
I never
your
did these.
motorcycle riding boots.
Yes, my motorcycle boots. So,
We're shifting to the steel stallion now. We're shifting from the steel stallion
Yes.
motorcycle from live horses, because you're talking about horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
We're just making the jump.
Yeah.
We're qualifying what riding you were talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, I started taking care of my boots, just really basic, you know, making sure they're brushed off and things like that. And then got more into how to properly care for leather as I learned more and grew more on my leather path. When our boy started his consideration with us.
Right.
He sat down, we had a big leather day,
Right.
and he did one of my pairs of boots, he did one of Alpha's pairs of boots.
Yeah.
He does a
Yeah.
pair from everybody.
Yeah.
When I joined the house,
This is
I
during
did the
whole
same thing.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that our Alpha would generally do, Alpha answer, would also do a pair of our boots.
Well, because they love
Yeah.
you just as much.
And so
Super sweet.
That's
our
awesome.
guys know, like, Topher, amazing. He's got so much knowledge, and I learn stuff every time me and him, like,
Oh yeah, I love listening to go.
get in there. Sir is
I learned a
also-
lot about redneck culture from him.
Yeah.
Speaking of rednecks.
Yeah.
Him and I are in this area. And I'm like, oh, I'm amazed.
Yeah. Sir also knows how to take care of his leathers and stuff. Because he knows how much I love doing it, he's like, and for him, it's like I take care of it because I have to. Like, so instead, he lets me do it because I love the process. It's really meditative for me, and I'm doing something nice for my sir.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite services to provide. It was really the main service I provided, apart from like domestic stuff in my last dynamic, was taking care of his leathers, because it wasn't something that he generally did for himself, and so I got to step in and do it.
Right.
And I was really excited because like I had just learned how to do it, and so that's where I really got comfortable taking care of different types, because like he did have a pair of suede boots, so like I would brush them out, and like that's when I really started to like look into suede care, because like my shoes, I was like, they're like office heels that I got like
from Charlotte Russe a couple years ago.
Right.
You know,
and
like,
so
they were top dog, I don't care.
Right, they weren't top quality, but like when it was his, I cared a lot more about it, because it's me putting myself into something that he wears and like getting to do that service. So like I can definitely identify with that, because I'm like, I want to do the thing for you.
Yeah, Spielzeug is learning.
He is. It's so cute.
So he's got the basic principles. He can do it. And honestly, the man that he trained under, mentored under before he came to me, she identifies as a bootleg. She loves Leathercare. She didn't do a lot of it when she was in the Orlando community, because like it was a little weird in the sense that
being like the top and then boot blacking, or
well, people were really judgmental of female dominant anyway in the Tampa Bay and Orlando communities. Period. But then to see someone do even anybody's boots, even if they were hers.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, there's like this association, which is totally unfounded in shit. But that's okay. So she's since moved to California, where she hasn't experienced that problem in her new community. So she's able to do more of the things she loves. So he has a basic understanding of the whole like clean, condition, polish, that structure for basic cowhide boots. Just getting him to do it with some regularity.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to do it. He's like, didn't we just do it
2 months ago?
I think that a lot of people are really intimidated by the process.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own boots now, so he
has
to take care of those.
I'm intimidated by the process on other people's boots because I'm so terrified. That's why I haven't done like
I do other people's boots.
I haven't done community stands. I do people that I'm in service to, or I do people that I'm close to, like in the local community. So like I've done multiple people's from our like local community that I would consider my friends.
Well, I don't do your boots. I would do her boots if they allow.
Yeah,
but I would
like I've done a few boots for people at like the Phoenix Club and things like that. But like it's very select. But I won't sit in a stand and just have random people at a con come up to me because I'm terrified I'm going to fuck up someone's leathers. When I was doing my past Sir's boots, it was every 2 weeks. Like every Thursday, every 2 weeks, I was doing all of his boots. I'd make him wear something else. I'd make him wear something else to work, so I could do all of his things because he worked different hours than I did.
Yeah.
But like my own boots, I will be honest, I did them when we had our Leathercare date, and I haven't done them since. I haven't worn them since, but I haven't done them since either.
Now, so that's a point that I am touchy about. Depending on the boot and depending on where it's being used and if it's being used. Doing it every week can actually be damaging.
Right.
You can over condition, which can break it down.
Yeah, I didn't always condition them, but I definitely cleaned them because he was so rough on his boots. Oh my god.
Absolutely, but there are lots of people whose boots, I don't do my boots every week. I don't even do all of them every month.
Yeah. I was thinking about worn mine, so they've been in the...
The thigh highs definitely needed conditioning. They've been hanging out for a while.
Them?
Yeah, so you can come up
hey,
with that. Yeah.
Blah, blah.
Can I wear them and give you
two legs? Yes, please.
2 legs, 2 people?
Yeah! Oh my, we're just gonna have her like split open and be like...
Pretty much put my leg on your shoulder. That's what boot actually normally do when they're trying to do that.
I mean, I'm very dexterous. Feet on the boots,
I would
mouth
honestly
on the...
Yeah, I would honestly...
Well, go all the way to the thigh. I mean, you might as well.
Just like, we're there anyway, so just like hop over a little bit. We can take turns.
You need to condition that as well, dude. She's wagging her
My face feels a little dry. I haven't moisturized recently.
Oh, okay.
I would honestly though feel way more comfortable with you there because you intimidate me and I don't want to talk about
for boot cleaning, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, all right, just checking. I was like, for cunnilingus or for boot cleaning?
For boot cleaning.
Okay, well, don't look at me so surprised. What would you think she was
The way
talking
you
about?
said that, I was talking about eating her out, and then you were like, "You're very intimidating, so I'm happy you're there." I'm like,
no, like we haven't gotten to that point yet, but I would happily eat you out, ma'am. But no, for the boot black side of things,
I would hand don't worry.
You mean the back of her head?
Yeah.
That's what I'll do for comfort.
Yeah.
It'll be there
It's
for
a security
comfort.
blanket.
She's like, I need an adult. I am an adult.
I'm an adult to your adult.
Okay, so back to doing other people's boots.
Do you
with
need a moment?
confidence.
It terrifies me.
So let's get back to regularity of Leathercare. How often, like, let's talk about the biker boots for a second. Because those get some wear and tear. They go out, gravel, hot pipes, all that shit.
Yep.
How often do you typically do yours? Because I'm ashamed. I want to hear your number first before I get to mine.
Tell me yours and then I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, show me yours.
So, it depends on what kind of riding conditions I've been in. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, rain or no rain or whatever.
Yeah, have I been out on, like, Florida, not real, like, we have paved roads that are barely more than gravel.
Oh, don't we?
They're like gravel with a little itty bitty bit of asphalt. Asphalt.
No, it's grass fault. It is, yeah, because there are like weeds coming up.
There are,
but it's a paved road.
That's fair, yeah.
So, if I've been hitting a lot of that, and because we have so much sand, or if I've been like over towards the beaches,
Yeah.
They get it like once a month.
Okay.
Ish.
So I was gonna say between every month and every other month for the biker boots.
Yeah. If I've just been doing like little in-town rides and like the weather hasn't been horrid,
Right.
and by horrid I mean blazingly hot or disgustingly wet.
Steamy rain.
Because the heat, the sun, and the heat can also be damaging.
Right.
It's between a month to every 2 months.
And do you have a different pair of boots for like events and things like that? You have a nice formal pair of boots or
Ish.
So, I have.
and I ask because part of it is in normal years when there's not like lockdowns and no shit's happening.
Right.
When you're going to events frequently because you and your family are a lot of events, you work a lot of the events. A boot that you would wear to events, maintenance on those, like with the frequency for that.
So, I have 3 pairs of boots that you will most commonly see me in at events / on my bike.
Right.
And all 3 of them are used in all 3 spaces.
Okay.
I have my original. They're Harley brand, but they were made by, I believe, Milwaukee. They're a Milwaukee.
Milwaukee leather.
They're Milwaukee leather oil tans.
Right.
Those I need to get resold.
Yeah, you were telling us that.
Yeah, and then I have 2 pairs of Doc Martens, which I absolutely love. One is a heeled. It's the Persephone, so it's a heeled version. It's very pretty.
It's just femme enough.
Yes.
It is.
So
It
pretty.
is very much a femme heel.
Right.
Without being
Stiletto.
useless.
Yeah.
It's got a big chunky heel. I love
Still
it.
drive.
It's still water resistant and oil resistant and skid resistant, and it can hold up to running across campgrounds for puppy events, or if I want to be a little more femme, I wear those. Those have a higher shine to them.
Right.
And then I also have a pair of Docs. They aren't the base one with a very thin-ish heel on them, or sole.
It's got the back piece, a little
bit
like a half inch or something.
No, mine's like 1.5 inches.
Oh, okay.
1.75 inches. Because I'm very short.
Okay, I gotcha.
So even my like flat Docs are not actually flat because I wouldn't be able to comfortably straddle the bike and
that's right.
flat foot on both
the legs. That's right.
The legs. Flat foot on each side. So even my regular Docs have a little bit, but they're very much that like traditional what people think of when they think of a Doc Marten. Right. That's what they are. Those are the ones you'll see me most often.
They lace up, are they?
Yep.
Okay.
They lace up the front. They're black. I did wreck the toe of one of them. The other one not so much because my sir needed his boots laced up. We were actually going to a memorial service for someone who had just passed. We got into the location. He had knee-high linemen's that needed to get laced. I dropped to my knees and went along, but because I'm so flexible, the top of my shoe, like toe cap,
right,
laced flat against
instead of braced on the toe bed. I gotcha.
Yeah. So instead of bracing on the tips of the toes where the rubber still is. My flat-footed, graveled into, because this was this wasn't even grass faulted. It was just
straight up gravel.
Just straight up gravel. And I was like, well, that sucks. So luckily,
At least you look good, sir.
right? So I looked great.
He always does.
It's hard to make him not look great, especially if Alpha's the one dressing him. But luckily, dye is a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was able to re-dye it. It doesn't quite have the same finish as the rest of the toe, but unless you're looking super closely, you're not going to notice. And I can actually put a little bit of polish to. I don't high shine them because I ride a motorcycle. That's ridiculous.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. But those are the ones I wear like all the time. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to actually like when it's event season, my boots are getting either completely redone normally at like the beginning of season,
right?
And then I'm touching them up before every single event.
By touch up, you meaning like shining them, or
give them a little more shine. Give them a rinse down if anything got on them.
Dust, dirt, gravel.
Yeah, dust them off. Make sure that the shine, if there is a shine, is solid. Make sure the laces are clean.
Yeah.
The day that my Alpha was like, yeah, when you're done doing this, do this to the laces, run them through the cloth. And I was like, why have I never thought of this? I would like...
To dust them off, you mean? Yeah.
Well, I would like hand wash them in like a bowl of soapy water. He's like, no. Just take the laces, use your saddle soap cloth,
and just...
Zook.
Okay.
It saves you on drying.
It does, and it cleans them right the fuck up. And so many people don't clean shoelaces when I'm like,
I clean them in like a little
I wash
water
them,
bin.
but I'll wash them and then usually if I'm gonna change them too, like if I want to change out my laces for something. Yeah. But I'm usually have to go wring them because if you do that, like if it's slightly damp and soapy, you just gotta.
Yep. It's all the dust and
gross.
Oh, it is definitely gross.
Whether you do it in a cup, like a bowl.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh look, the water is brown.
Oh, you don't realize
that icky gray from it rubbing on the polish and everything.
But it makes me so happy. It's like, oh look how clean my laces are going to be because all that just came out of them.
Exactly.
But
you never realize how much black laces hide.
Right. I was like, oh, thank goodness
but
I don't wear white laces.
If you're using your laces to flag, which a lot of people do, like. My guys oftentimes have yellow and blue or red. Like, you can see that shit from a mile away on the yellow laces.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. High maintenance.
No,
for sure.
For me, I definitely do them. I try to aim to do my own, like, every other month because they don't see a lot of action, but I always touch up before I go to events. And, like, my partner's boots, or my ex-partner's boots, I would have touched up before we went to events as well. Because he didn't, like, high shine, but he had a pair of boots that were shiny enough that if they were even like the tad bit off or if he scuffed them at work because he wore them every day, I'd be like, please let me do your boots because they look so bad.
They're making me look bad.
They were also supposed to be done with a high shine.
They also were, but he hated high shine, so I was trying to find an equal compromise.
Buy a different boot.
I'm like, no. Same rules do they apply for other pieces of leather garment? Let's say vests, harnesses, jackets, chaps, the whole 9 yards. So I admit I do those far less frequently than the boots.
My vest and harness get done quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I feel less of a whole person.
I don't have any garment pieces of, or actually no, I do have a skirt. I do that probably twice a year. But the vest I did about twice, or my ex's vest I did about twice a year, but then I would like touch up every once in a while, like before events if he was going to wear it.
Yeah, you dust it off,
I will, if I have like a special event or something like that, I'll make sure that it is completely cleaned before I go to that event.
Sure, yeah.
And so I hate the smell of cigarettes.
Right.
Hate.
Oh, and the bar nights.
Some of the bar nights, if I wear my vest,
get rough.
It gets in there, and it's just
it holds it.
The tar gets into everything.
Yeah. So if I've gone to a particularly smelly bar night, and I realize not everybody is going to notice, I have issues around it, so I am hypersensitive to that smell.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will come home and I will Febreze the lining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's satin lining. Absolutely.
The lining is Febrezable, so I'll Febreze the outside.
That's a good idea.
And then I will just get like a slightly damp rag.
And mop it.
Yep, and mop it down.
That's a good idea.
If it was really gross, I might put a little bit of saddle soap on it and like do that. And then let it air dry. Like, don't put it right back in the closet. I normally hang it in.
The whole closet will smell like it. Yeah.
Yes.
You got something, Kaitlyn?
When I was coming into Leathercare, I had a lot of ideas about how to take care of leather that weren't true. And so, like, I wanted to maybe get into some, like, myths about Leathercare. Like, the big one, I think the biggest one that was a surprise to me when I got into, like, actual Leathercare is that leather couldn't get wet. But it's really a big thing because, like, I got it, and the boot black who was teaching me at the time, they were like, because I was, like, barely getting the rag damp because I was scared to damage the leather, and they were like, no, like, just spray the water straight on that shit.
Yeah, you have to wash it.
Like, get it off. I was like, but leather can't get wet. They're like, who told you that? I was like, society?
Cows get wet.
Like, so many people who aren't a part of like the leather community don't realize that you can actually put water onto leather. You just can't let it sit in water.
Well, yeah, I mean, because think about it. Like, if you've ever seen any kind of fantasy or sci-fi anything, what are these people wearing? Leather boots, leather jackets, leather purses, leather bags, whatever, like, in the rain. And then...
Did it not rain at all during, like,
Lord of the Rings?
18th century? Like, never rained.
No, and I get what you're saying, because there are a lot of people that, it's wet, it's ruined. It's not ruined. It can get stiff and moldy and fucked up.
But you can fix it.
It dries.
I had someone, so I had an ex who was kind of an idiot, but...
We've all been there.
Right? Who was very much like, oh no, I don't know why somebody would get their leather with. Absolutely not. Like,
I used to be terrified to wear my leather. I used to be terrified to wear my leather heels in the rain.
Okay.
Like, because I was like, oh god, they're going to be ruined because Florida rains all the time.
Right. And what I think it is that, and I know there are also some people who, like, they don't want their covers and their vests to be rain, like, if they're out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, or, like,
a respect to,
they're socially significant.
Yeah. But even then, it's still a cow.
What are you gonna do?
Cover. It keeps them.
Take it off and hold it like a baby? Like,
send your girl to put it in the car.
Guess.
My guys don't generally, but
it's my
I think what it comes from is that as our society has shifted, especially here in America, like we're a very disposable nation.
Yeah.
You get shoes, even leather shoes, and like, oh, they died. They don't
like, try to bring them back to life.
Right, you're not taking care of them. I mean, the art of boot blacking and shoe shining and cobblery.
Yeah.
They're
died out.
I love my cobbler.
I like the cobbler too.
I think we have the same cobbler.
Is it by the brass mug?
Oh no, it's a different one.
It's like a little man in a tiny room.
See, I go to a little man in a tiny booth at the mall.
I used to.
I think
this guy too.
Yeah. But like, those are, when I told my mom I was taking my riding boots in to get them, the zippers redone, because after most of a decade, one of the zippers was dying. It wasn't staying up.
But that doesn't
I wore them every day for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Before it even started to slip. She was like, they can do that? There's still people that do that? And she's like, I'm like, yeah. Because
it's a noble profession, actually.
Yeah.
Right. But we're in a society where nobody is thinking about those things.
They're just like, go buy the next thing.
You know,
nobody repairs.
It's a very, like, Walmart commodity. Like, oh, well, I can just get another one for $20 next year. It's fine.
Right.
Like, or
this $80 pair could last you 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where a lot of the, like, oh, don't wear it in the rain, especially with, like, nicer-ish leather items comes from, is because people don't know, like, if you're walking around in the rain repeatedly, like, you know, for the 7 months it rains in Florida, then you need to be conditioning it more frequently to make sure that it's staying hydrated. Especially, we have a lot of salt in our rain. Like salt, we live 20 minutes from the ocean. Like, that's a thing. So making sure that they stay hydrated and protected and weatherproofed.
Yeah. I do my bike bags, which I know. No.
I do too.
Like, I have leather motorcycle bags. Like, I do them maybe twice a year because I am not standing in that murderous heat.
Oh gosh.
We have a car.
That's true.
You should just come over because I'm going to be doing a chrome day.
Okay, there you go. So I'll just be able to.
Can I sit out there and just like fangirl over both of you and try not to
As we watch
orgasm?
You can also fan us.
I can't
You can be the fangirl.
Yeah.
I can be the fangirl.
But again, the back. The dealership's like, oh, you should pay to get this thing. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, or I can wash and condition this shit and not pay you a bunch of money to put a plastic lining in this thing to give it structure again.
So mine came with the bags that are on it.
Yeah, mine did too. Actually, mine came with it's leather bags.
They're leather on the exterior. They do have a plastic lining on them.
Mine doesn't.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna take care of the outside of them.
No, but that's just for structure to hold it. Mine doesn't have this little plate. But like, I was like, or I can just take care of it and it not collapse on me.
Yeah.
Oh, look how stiff it is. Okay, well, obviously it's time to condition this bitch. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But are there any other myths that like you ladies have run into about leather care or leather in general?
Leather smells funny.
Leather smells amazing.
I feel like it would smell funny if you have badly cared for leather.
Or pleather.
Or pleather. Honestly, I had the hardest time figuring out the difference between leather and pleather when I couldn't figure out on like secondhand boots. Like it was like,
there are some synthetic leathers these days that are very good.
Yeah.
But they don't live the same way.
They don't.
And they don't.
And then once they scuff, you can generally tell because you're like,
Yeah. Because it's a polymer, like it's a plastic base as well.
Yeah. It's
although I have a pair
of leather.
Yeah, I have a pair that's made from pineapple fiber.
The vegan leathers?
Yeah, made of pineapple fiber. Very interesting. So not as eco-damaging as the plastic ones. Just that brand doesn't sell real leather, and so I use them for the bike because fuck if they get scuffed, who cares?
Yeah.
But they're pretty non-indestructible, and I was like,
right.
I got pineapples on my feet.
Ooh.
But as far as leather smells funny is your myth.
Yeah. So I
Moldy
had
leather.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Like people are like, oh, but every time I see leather, like, or I'm like looking at the store at some,
At
like
Goodwill, of course they're going to smell funny.
Right. They're at Goodwill or something. They're looking for like an affordable piece, and it's got a weird smell.
You just gotta clean it, and the smell goes away.
Normally, what it is that it's either it was stored improperly and it's got mold in it, or
just need some air.
mildew, or they were a smoker or something like that. Or, I mean, leather, it's gonna absorb whatever it's around.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not storing it correctly, if you're not taking care of it, it's just absorbing all of those funky smells.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's got all those funky smells doesn't mean you can't
fix it.
That's
fixable.
That's totally fixable.
That's fixable. I don't know if I have a myth actually.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you have another one?
The only other one I can think of is that like once leather gets like moldy or tears, you have to like be gone with it. But I guess it kind of falls in line with the, like don't get leather wet. It's probably based around consumerism, and so it's like, oh well, it's messed up, so I have to get rid of it. Obviously,
I don't think I have any myths because I think like just culturally different.
Probably
a little bit.
Yeah.
Or like the other myth was that another one I saw a lot was a lot of people were like, no, like the way you take care of like horse riding tack isn't the same way. Like the leather is better for like clothes and boots and stuff. I was like, I don't think that's true because when I started into the leather community, I got a lot of shit because I was like, well, I've done leather care before, I've done horse tack, and they're like, brr, 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 brr. I'm like,
it's the same fucking hide.
But I didn't do like I feel like they envisioned me using like those, basically it's Armor All wipes, but for leather tack.
Oh, you mean like for cars?
Yeah. And
the
so
car
like,
wipes?
I think that's what they think of when I'm talking about leather care, but like no, like I used to sit down with saddle soap, hence the name saddle soap.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, like that's something I got a lot of like shit for, and so it was like, but it's like once I started learning, I was like, it's basically the same exact thing.
The same. They just up their own butts.
And with everything, there is high quality
And low
quality.
Absolutely.
So leather comes in a variety, just like anything else. There are some hides that are super, super high quality. Mm-hmm. There are some that are lower quality. I know, so I do leather crafting.
Right. Yeah.
I have like 3 cows worth of leather.
Do you use like a fine grain or do you use top grain?
So it depends on what I have. I have a couple that are finer, more clothing grain.
Like garment leather kind
garment
of
leathers.
Yeah.
And then I also have some suedes.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a lot of my standard work, I use veg tanned because I can sculpt it and mold it to what I want it to be. It cuts very cleanly. It holds color beautifully. I can do like, one of my specialties is like almost a watercolor look to the designs. So I mix water dyes and oil dyes to make this kind of watercolorish appearance, and it holds really well on that leather. But I'll tell you, when you go in, one of my favorite places to look is the back. There's like a back table where they put all of the discounted ones, and that might be a hide that has a whole lot of holes in it.
Right.
So because a lot of times, especially if you're buying a larger piece, it's gonna have the leather doesn't come out. Well, some of them do, but most of the time, if you're going to the leather store to buy like a chunk of leather, it's not coming out like a perfect little square with no nips. Like, it's an animal. Like they had bug bites. They had little holes. They had little, whatevers. They had scuffs.
Yeah, that's why I like top grain leather for wearing, because it's the very top layer of the skin. It's thicker. It's rougher. It's not that soft, supple kind of garment leather. And the reason I like it is because it has all the imperfections from the animal. It's got the pox scars, it's got the wrinkles, it's got everything, which I know the ASPCA is going to come down on us, but like, I like being reminded that this was an animal hide. It's something primal about it. There's something primal about it. It still has its personality. It still has its features about it. So I'm really a big fan of like the top grain, where you can really see its imperfections.
And those imperfections and things like that are really brought out when you're working with veg tan, which is going to be that thicker. Yeah. It's, the whole piece, it's not been split. Yeah. And it's got all of those little scuffs and scratches and holes and polka dots. That and like coloration, the balance of coloration across the hide can change whether it's considered a good quality or a low quality.
Right.
For my stuff, most of my stuff is smaller, so I can use the ones that, they weren't quite good enough to go out on the main show floor, so they're slightly discounted.
Right.
Well, I can get that because I'm going to be
a journal or something small.
Yeah, right. I'm going to be, I just need a straight area to like get the strips through if I'm doing straps or something like that. So, it's definitely, it all depends on what you're getting.
We'll have to do an episode on leather working itself, like creation and crafting, and like, because I think there's one thing that this community loves. It is one of a kind items. Yes. I love having something that nobody else has. I love being the first to have something. Yes. Like that's fantastic.
Oh, my harness from Go Bear, I absolutely love. It's a custom made piece. It was the first one he did of that design.
Yeah. My harness was not done by them, but it was also custom done.
Yeah.
Like I like having. Everybody does. Everyone's like.
Everyone loves to have a piece that represents their own personality and isn't just necessarily off the shelf.
Right. Kaitlyn, you've got a finger. What is it?
Well, I was thinking, because we've talked a lot about the types of leather, and we've talked a lot about this kind of the steps to leather care, but we haven't really touched on yet what we use for our leather care.
Well, why don't you kick us off then?
Oh gosh. I should know better than to advertise.
Amok has her goodie bag.
Yes,
she's got a couple unique items for more like the 201 level of leather care and stuff like that. Oh yeah. So why don't you walk us through like the basics?
So the basics are, you've heard us talk about, we want to wash, we want to
cleaning, conditioning,
and we want to sometimes polish it.
Right. Let's for simplicity's sake, let's stick with cow and bull hide, like cow hide, because that's
what I'm
most common.
Most people are gonna get that. If they're gonna go to a thrift store, they're gonna get cows. Yeah. So let's focus on that, because we'll do, I think, maybe a specialty class on like the snoochie special leathers maybe.
So for me, my basic kit that I use, because I mainly do cowhide, because it's normally what my partners and what I have myself. And so as far as for washing or cleaning it, I'll use, there's two different things that you'll see used a lot. One of them is saddle soap. It's great for cleaning. It's literally what it's leather soap. So you get a brush wet, you rub it around until it gets foamy, and then you create little foam circles across the boot to wipe off.
Now, do you dust your boot before you get in the soap? I take a brush and I take the laces out and I dust the whole boot. If
it's super, super dusty, I'll brush it. Right. If it's like I've only been wearing it indoors, really, I'll take just like a cloth to wipe it down. Okay. And then I'll also, what I do is I take my spray bottle of water, and I'll spray the water directly on the boot first. Okay. And then I get the brush wet, because as the brush starts to dry out, the extra water on the boot will keep it sudsing, and so I don't make my saddle soap a wet mess by just having to constantly go back in water. Another really popular one for people who don't necessarily like the chemicals that are in saddle soap, or a lot of the saddle soaps, is glycerin soap. It's a clear soap. It doesn't leave a film. And so that's another really popular one. And it foams up really well, which is important.
Some people also use like Castile soap, like the Dr. Brenner's.
Soap made from olive oil.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though as a soap maker, he makes me mad because it's olive oil and a couple other things, so it's technically not Castile soap. But I am not going to fight the marketing team on that. It's Bastille soap if it's all vegetable oil. It's Castile soap if it's only olive oil. But I'm sorry, I digress.
You're okay. I'm like, and then, so what I'll do is I'll get it all nice and soapy. I'll get the boot nice and soapy. Some people will do it in like sections. Some people, if you're quicker with working with it, some people will do the whole boot and then wipe it off.
I'm definitely a whole boot kind of.
I'm a whole boot. I'll do the whole boot and then I'll take a damp rag and I'll wipe it off to get all of the soap off. I keep like almost, it's like a toothbrush, but the end of it is almost like a toothpick, so you can get in the little eyelets where the laces go.
Okay.
To get the soap out of there, and like that's my big number one thing. Is like I want to get the soap out of everywhere I put it.
have a chopstick.
So around like the stitching,
and
around the eyelets, I want to get it out of there because it can rust the metal. It can discolor the stitching if you have a different color stitching along the laces and along the like soles of the boot and such. So that's just my own personal touch. And then I will condition it. Personally, I use Hubbard. It's a solid oil that when you rub your fingers or your cloth into it, the heat from your hand will melt it. And then you can smear it across the boot to condition the leather.
Okay.
And so I use Hubbards. There are a few different times. Some people, especially if you started off in like the animal tack world, you see a lot of people use mink oil, which I used for a long time. I did, however, learn that if you've used Hubbards before on a boot, or if you've used mink oil and switched to Hubbards, it can create almost a gray film. They have some sort of chemical reaction. So I try to stay with just Hubbards now. And then also mink oil will expire. And so it will go like rancid on you, and so
because it is an animal.
Yeah, and so you want to be cognizant of that if you're using that as your conditioner on your leathers. And then as far as polishing goes, I really like cream polishes. They're not made to get a high shine with.
I do like cream polishes as well.
And I don't really go for the high shine look. I don't even know if my boots can be high shine, honestly, but I do it, and so like I like doing the polish to kind of fill in any scratches or scuffs because I am pretty rough in my boots. And then if you were doing more of a high shine, you might use a hard polish, and so like a really common one you'll see like at most grocery stores or tack stores and stuff are the Kiwi hard polishes.
Okay.
And so it's basically just a low metal canister with a solid block of colored stuff.
Right.
And
it's like a soap cake, but it's polished.
But it's polished. And so the more you work with it, it'll slowly melt, and then you can transfer it onto a boot, and then you can build up the hard polish to then kind of like fine tune down to get that high shine with either your rags, you normally brush out a polish, and then if you're wanting a high shine, you'll go to like a rag and then like a pair of pantyhose to get like that super, super shiny. Yes.
I use for leather conditioner, I use Obenauf.
Okay.
Obenauf is a combination of vegetable oils and beeswax. So it helps a little bit with the water repellent piece of it as well. And it's kind of semi-solid. It's more like a pomade kind of squishy bits.
Obenauf also makes a liquid.
Yeah, I use the Smush.
I believe that's the brand that was actually designed for firefighters.
Yes.
Because they have to deal with the heat.
Yeah.
So they needed something that was heat resistant and water resistant because of the career.
Perfect for the motorcycle boots.
Right, so you've got that beeswax and oil. Motorcycle boot, it's great for our riding gear because we ride in Florida where disgusting amounts of sun and heat and rain simultaneously is our life.
Yeah, so I like to use Obenauf. Also, it's fairly affordable as well. Obenauf is not expensive.
No, it
doesn't have a weird gross smell either.
So I have a very random
Okay, so first off, the carrying case not everybody has a carrying case for their Leathercare or boot blacking equipment. I have like an industrial toolbox.
So what you see most of the time when you go out is the toolbox style, tackle box style.
They're inexpensive,
They're inexpensive. They're easy to carry. A lot of times they have different compartments and things like that. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
So like mine. It's actually like a shoe shine kit, and so it's like a little wooden box, and on the top of it, it has like a foot pedestal. So when you're working on someone, they can rest their foot into that on top of your box, and you can work off of it if you don't have a stand.
Secondhand finds,
which is super cute and adorable. I travel a lot.
Yeah.
Across state lines, all over the place. Even just back and forth to the guys' house. Even though I'll supplement sometimes with things that Alpha has that I might not have because he has like a giant beast of a box. It's amazing. Nice. But when I'm going, I do public boot blacking, and I offer services to people who I care about and things like that. So I need one to travel with. Yeah. Also, I ride a motorcycle, and for a very long time I rode only a motorcycle. So I had to have something that was convenient and portable and I could either tie it to the side of the bike or shove it in a saddlebag with other things. At the same time, I am just femme enough to be a pain in the ass.
Femme enough to be dangerous.
Yup. So the idea of carrying around a tackle box just wasn't enticing to me.
Doing it for you.
Yeah,
mine's quite red.
I mean, so I love the tackle box, but I wanted something that kind of
no for practicality on the bike alone, no.
But I mean, even a regular tackle box, I could tie down.
Yeah, but anyway, tell us about the luggage you have.
Mine is a caboodle,
which I didn't know what that was. So in case you are not American or
didn't grow up in the 80s,
what the fuck is a caboodle?
So caboodle is a brand of makeup totes.
Okay.
I'm sure they have other shit, but like every 80s girl or femme
had a caboodle.
I remember it was like a big gift when I went. We had a cross-country trip, and one of the gifts we got to keep us entertained in the car was a caboodle filled with things, and it was like the best shit ever.
Okay.
So
you got yourself a caboodle.
I did. I looked around for something that was about the right size. So about the size of a tackle box.
Soft though.
Softer. More femme. It didn't need, I'm not a pink flaming hearts and things.
That doesn't mean
which
femme.
Is fine.
Right.
It's just not me.
Right.
So I was looking for something, and I was checking out, if you are unaware, masculine members of our audience, if you've never been down the makeup containing aisle,
there's so many options.
You have no idea. You guys have a tackle box. It's one shape, and that's all you got. The special thing is if the top also has a compartment.
Mine does have a case that comes out. So.
Right, the little case that comes
that's little clear plastic things on the top.
Mine's not that fancy, but yeah.
Right. You go over to the makeup department.
Makeup toting department.
It is fucking insane what we have. Sizes, shapes, colors, contraptments, the whole 9 yards. So I found a black caboodle.
Did you find it in the store?
I did.
Okay, I thought you ordered it. All right.
No, it was at Target.
Nice.
I went to Target. It's got 2 zippers on the exterior. One of them is actually hidden. So that's where I would, if I was at the stands or something, that's where I would tuck my wallet or my key for the thing.
For those of you that have not seen one of these things, it basically looks like a large, it's a black handbag. It's a black purse. It looks like a purse. It has a flat bottom with 4 little feet that it can stand up on its own, and it holds its shape fairly well. But it looks like, for all intents and purposes, this is a handbag.
We can put a picture of it up for them so they can see it.
In case you...
and it's...
we should link a terrible 80s commercial for caboodles.
Yes! So this one is probably 7 years old. Okay. And I'm just now contemplating possibly
retiring. I want to see the inside. Is it? And it's got little baskets.
So I like that it opens so wide.
So this particular one that I got actually opens completely open. It's sort of shaped like an old medicine bag.
Yeah, like an old doctor bag. Yeah.
I have a giant need for, and I really need one of those bags. So if a listener finds one, let me know.
Patreon will be available soon.
Yes.
We also take gifts.
But I really liked this one because it had a large zipper compartment on one side. It had a bunch of elastics on each end,
which you would normally put like makeup brushes and or small sample size things, but you've got like
or like lipstick tubes and things like that. And then it's got some larger pockets on the side where you would put like bottles of foundation and then it's got this huge middle section.
Right. Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's like my little Mary Poppins bag because the amount of stuff that lives in this.
12-pack in there for sure.
Oh yeah.
For size reference, at least a 12-pack of beer in there for sure. But so I think the punchline is like get creative when if you want to be taking it places, whether it's to events or just storing it in your house, even so it's not like everywhere.
Having all of your stuff in one place is
an ugly
really
thing if you don't want to. Like,
and I have some because I do work with a lot of. Different types of leather and things like that, and in different conditions.
Yeah.
I have a lot of really random things. So I have my standard, I have saddle soap, I have polishes, I have some cream, I have some hard wax. A lot of those depend on like what I'm working on is which one I use. There are camps out there that are like, Kiwi is the best of everything, Lincoln is the best of everything. Honestly, I have a little bit of everything because for me it works out because if I go and you're like, oh, well, my submissive at home does my boots and it's with feedlings.
Yeah.
Well, I happen to have a little tub of feedlings. I can do your polish so that it's consistent. Not everyone knows their stuff that well, but I like to have the options.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking overachiever.
Well, you got the bag for it. You might as well.
I'm that fucking special. So some things that I keep in my bag that may not necessarily come to people's minds. Old toothbrush.
I love toothbrushes.
They are excellent and honestly, it's in my leather working station right now, but I have an electric toothbrush as well. Because sometimes if my hands are hurting and like the grip on something so small isn't possible. I could just press the button and go.
That's convenient.
These work excellent for along stitching lines. You very softly along the sole where the sole of the shoe. It's called the welt. It's where the sole and the
rubber
shoe meet. So like that section, getting into like holes or anything like that. These are excellent. I have one of those 4-way
pedicure
pumice.
I have that same one in the bathroom for my feet.
You do. It's slightly darker blue. I had to look because I was like, wait, is that mine or hers?
She rubbed her foot on that poor thing.
So I really like this because I can use it. This is only used on the soles of shoes.
Okay. And which part of the 4-way are we using?
So I will use the brushes.
The brush
to get to dig into it.
Right.
To get, if there is something really. There's paint or something really gouged into the side of it, I will very softly use one of the other
pumice
sides. I never use the scraper side.
Never use the middle scraper.
No. Never use the middle scraper.
The pumice stone.
The pumice and
then the nail file basically is what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's that black flat. Ladies, you know what we're talking about.
Don't use.
Or humans that take care of your feet, you know what we're talking about.
Right. I don't use this on the leather itself. This is
the rubber sole.
This is just a sole tool to get.
It's a sole tool for soles.
Oh, she did.
Oh, Lord.
While we recover from that pun, what's on your mind, Kaitlyn?
Oh, no.
Oh, you keep going? Okay. Is that a magic eraser?
It is. This is a magic eraser. I also keep pantyhose
for shining.
Old stockings for shining.
They are great for shining.
I will use this very gently, my magic eraser, if there is a really fucking nasty scuff on patent leather.
On patent leather, okay.
I'll get just the tip wet, and then
teeny tiny, very delicate.
And it just, because I do a lot of restoration or repair when people have somehow dumped paint on their gorgeous purple leather heels or
shit happens.
And so this really helps when I'm doing that. You have to be careful though because it can scratch up the surface.
I was about to say there's some chemicals in there and stuff, so we gotta be careful with it.
Yeah.
But it works.
It works.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
And then I have my suede kit. Ooh. So a lot of people don't like suede. They don't like working with suede.
It's just intimidating.
It's the problem child of leather, but once you've mastered it,
right, and it's not nearly as intimidating.
Is that a whetstone? What is that?
This is an eraser.
It was a pencil eraser.
It's a suede eraser.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually an eraser. It comes in a little kit.
Okay.
This one is from Shoe Gear.
Okay.
I got it at I think I got it at Walgreens.
Yeah.
We're gonna post some pictures with this because it looks like a little rubber eraser. It's a white rectangular.
Absolutely looks like a regular eraser. But what it is if you get a scuff or this is what I used on baby girls.
Okay.
Stuff to get out some of the where it's
gunk.
Blocked up to each other.
Yeah.
So this you use for the really tough marks that you need to get off. And then this is a suede brush. And so suede brushes have 4 sides.
Okay.
They've got a bristly side.
Right.
They've got a rubber toothy side.
Like a curry comb kind of for a horse, but very fine.
A smooth but very fine side.
Looks like a kitchen scraper.
Yeah.
Like a little scrapey.
Okay.
And then a scalloped side as
It's
well.
almost like a hair comb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, you can use the different sides in different parts. So this is what you can use, the smooth side. I say this as if you can see me, but the smooth side, you can use that to go along the edges or in between, where some suede shoes will have the suede here and then they'll have the eyelets, but it's on a different set.
Yeah.
If you need to get in between them to clean, in between the two pieces,
It's the tiny kitchen
you can
scraper
use the
side.
scraper side. You really gently rub it with this to bring life back into the
rubber
piece.
side.
The rubber side.
Yeah.
But this is specifically
Like a curry comb. You're bursting like a cow.
I also keep pliers in my kit because
for repairs.
Honestly, it's to get laces in and out.
Oh yeah,
Because sometimes
they can be annoying sometimes.
Sometimes if the laces are old and they've kind of fallen apart when you're trying to get them back through, they'll start to separate. The core will go through, but the
rest of
sheath
it
will stay.
Yeah, and it looks like
I can just
it looks like an
pull.
uncircumcised cock coming through a ring here, and you're like, oh no, go back where you were.
Yep. So I'll do that. I also keep a spare set of laces generally in my bag.
I do laces.
Some little things like that. Black nail polish.
Oh, a good cover up.
Sneaky cover up. It's great for the little knobs, your eyelids and the hooks and things if they've gotten scuffed up.
Yeah.
You just
That's a good one.
slap a little. Honestly, the black, good quality black nail polish and good quality black enamel for the little eyelets.
Yeah.
Just get the nail polish.
Right.
It's gonna stick.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be half the price.
Yep.
I also keep a lighter in my box.
Yeah.
For little stray fibers.
It's great for stray fibers. One of the things that I was taught poorly and then very quickly learned, you see a lot of people so I keep a cigar torch because I don't like regular lighters.
They're hard to flip.
They're hard to flip. Also, there's reasons I don't like regular lighters.
Right.
So I keep a cigar torch. It's more comfortable for me. And it's sexy. And
It is sexy.
my family and they like cigars. So I'm like, here you
Double
go.
up.
So I'll use that, but sometimes you'll see people lighting their polish on fire.
Yeah.
What?
Or it's a big thing, especially with the kiwi hard polishes, because they take a lot longer to
What about the patience? What about the art?
Yes. You'll see them light either the top or the underneath of the canister.
Right.
Yes.
So what it is that when you light
need a minute.
it does.
That's how I was taught. I was like, I don't really think that's good.
So a lot of people will be taught that way because with the hard waxes.
Just have to take a little extra.
Yes. With the hard waxes, the consistency makes it harder to build up a lot. Even though when you're polishing with hard waxes, you start with very thin layers. You don't want to glob it on there.
Oh, yeah.
But people don't realize that. They're not taught that. And,
Right.
get a bunch on your rag and go at it.
Right.
So what they do is it's also a wow factor. Because I sit there and I've got now I need to reenact it for you.
Right.
This is going to be my lighter because
We're not
my
really
cigar torch is in the house from cigar night.
Right.
So I'm like this and I light it and it goes whoosh and I go.
Okay.
So it's a look thing. It looks dramatic.
It's an aesthetic choice.
Yeah, it's totally an aesthetic choice. It's not a good idea.
Obviously flammable because it goes up in flame.
Right. So it's highly flammable. That's why they're doing it.
Toxic though, the odor, like the smoke, isn't it?
Probably. It's also not good for the leather because if you've lit on fire, then
It's
there is
hot.
soot. Well, it's soot
It's burnt.
in
It's burnt now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
burnt.
soot in the polish that you're pulling up. So you're literally rubbing soot into your things. Now I have seen some people who will they'll either use their lighter to heat it slowly from the bottom,
Okay.
or they'll use like a candle warmer.
Okay, slightly more reasonable, but
Right, and they'll put it on the candle warmer because, especially if they're
the
doing.
composition of the product when
I
it's
think so.
overheated. I don't know. I'm asking. I've never.
I think if you do it like the flame way, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you do it with the other way, not so much.
Right.
I've seen it for people who are doing like multiple projects back to back to back who might not have the time or whatever,
Right.
or they prefer to work with something a little softer, so they'll have it set to like a low just so where it softens up, not to become liquid and melty.
Yeah, that I find more reasonable than
Yeah.
lighting it aflame.
Personally, I don't. If I want it to heat,
That's not why I have a lighter, but
it's not why I have one either. But if I want to heat mine up faster, I'll just put my hand over it and like hold it really tightly between my hands.
under it, just
Right, just hold it. Like hold it there.
I'm like,
Start sticking it under there. Wash the boob.
it'll
Pull it
probably
back
stay.
out.
It'll while you're while you're cleaning.
I'll forget it's under there.
I'm like, where did my polish go?
Oh, floop.
Problem is that I'm always in a white shirt. So,
Okay, yeah.
and most of your like polish and soap cans will have a tiny hole in the top.
So it'll leak
Gotcha.
out.
That way it doesn't get water buildup,
Yeah.
or like because you
Dries
moistened the stuff to do it. So yeah. Oh, and spit shines are not actually done with spit.
I feel like the human mouth is disgusting, and I feel like saliva would be very bad for leather. Because
It's not.
if you have chapped lips and you lick your lips, you know how it gets worse. Don't do that to your leather.
I like to lick a boot now and then.
No, but what I'm saying is it's not good for the leather long term.
But so like you lick the
Spitting
boob,
on
but then
it,
you
yeah.
still do the other stuff to it.
It's
No,
not good for it.
don't spit shine your boots,
Don't do
people.
that.
That's
It's not
a
good for you.
thing.
It's not good for it. No. Same process. No good. No.
All right.
I wear
like,
gloves because I have claws, and I don't want to scratch up mine or anybody else's
Yes.
leather.
I have gloves because depending on what I'm working with, I might be shining your shoes with something that has dye in it,
You might end
Yeah.
up with
and I may or
colored
may not
paws.
want colored paws.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly, I normally do.
I normally do too. I'm like, I love that smeared look of it afterwards, but like
More when I've had to do, or when I have chosen to do somebody's boots that were like really fucking nasty for some reason, and like I'm like,
I don't want
no.
that. That's not the fun kind of getting dirty.
They get cleaned with my gloves on and then I take them off.
Yeah.
And I keep I have nitrile powder free gloves because
No latex.
latex is a huge issue, people.
Yep.
Be very
So many
considerate.
people are allergic to it.
Yeah, it really is though. I mean, you'd be surprised.
Please don't kill my alpha.
Right.
No, I have nitrile gloves as well. I find that they're cheaper as well.
They are.
All right.
That's really my last thought. I love caring for leather. I love the experience. I love that there's almost always something to learn about it because there's always a new technique, or you'll watch someone do something, you'll be like, that makes so much more sense.
Don't be scared. It's really not that hard.
And even if you're not kinky, this is just an adult life skill. To be honest,
Yeah,
this
like if
doesn't
you're
have
going
to
to
be
invest in a pair of shoes, take care of
shoes,
them.
Oh my gosh.
bags, purses.
One of the guys I work with,
Yeah.
I desperately want to clean his shoes.
Go fuck up some leather. Go fix some leather. Figure it out, guys.
Fuck on some leather.
And remember,
Trouble comes in 3.
and get fucked and polished. You have obligatory giggle. You have an obligatory giggle.
I did it!
It's too
It
quiet.
was so